Hey guys, welcome back. This is video 7 in our Homeschool Bravely series. Alright guys, welcome back. I'm Laura Wilkie with Down Home with Lemon Pie, and I am excited to be going through this book right here, chapter by chapter, with you guys. This is Homeschool Bravely by Jamie Erickson. How to squash doubt, trust God, and teach your child with confidence. I am absolutely loving it, guys. We are about halfway through this book, so if you're just joining us, you can go to the main page on my channel, and there's a playlist specifically for this book, Homeschool Bravely, and you can go through and catch up on all the videos you've already missed. And I do recommend that because there's so much good information here. I also recommend you go ahead and grab your own copy because Jamie Erickson deserves the praise and recognition. She did the work, and we want to go ahead and honor that, but also because you guys are going to want this on your shelves. You're going to want to go back and reference it. It is my highlighter book. I have been going through it and highlighting as I go and sharing it with you guys with my commentary and my thoughts. So thank you for joining me. Also, if you're brand new to my channel, this is not the first book that I've gone through. So if you want to go back and see other books we've gone through, we did Hidden Art of Homemaking, which was all about homemaking. Such a good book. It is almost over 50 years old and full of so much wisdom and important things that you're going to want to not miss. And then we also did Godschooling, which is very, very, very similar to this. If you are loving this, you're going to love Godschooling. So go check out that series. And we also did M is for Mama, which is such a wonderful, wonderful, encouraging book about motherhood and helping us do our best moms. So check out the other videos if you haven't already, or while you're waiting for the next one for this. Right now we're going to jump right into chapter 7. And chapter 7 is so relevant to my life. Okay, it's called Little People, Big Messes, and basically it's talking about when we are trying to homeschool our kids and we have kiddos joining us that are younger than school age. Okay, so toddlers, preschoolers, whatever. If they are in your home, as they for many, many years, including right now, are in my home and have been in my home, it can make homeschooling really, really tricky, challenging, and there's just so much good stuff in this. This is another reason you want to grab this book because this chapter in particular, she gives so many good hints and tips, and I cannot just go through them all with you guys. So grab your own copy if you want more information. But yeah, it's just so good. I am like I said, a Christian mom of 7, and I have 7 little ones, including right now. I have a 3-year-old as our youngest, all the way up to 14. All of my children have been homeschooled the entire time. Therefore, there has always been a toddler, preschooler, infant, newborn, whatever, in our home in every school year. Okay, sometimes multiple. I do have a set of twins as well that are 6. So for many years, I had lots of toddlers and babies. And you know what? I'm here to tell you guys, it's totally, totally good. You can make this work, and it can be a super good blessing in your home. And that's where she goes with this. I'm so excited to share it with you guys. I will tell you before I get started, I have done several videos on this exact topic in the past, so I will link them below so you can easily find them on ways to keep them busy, but also just good encouragement that you may want to just bookmark for a time when you're having one of those days and you just need a little mom-to-mom chat about it. So I will link those below so you can find them. Okay, first let's talk about the unnecessary guilt. On the top of page 88, she goes right into, if you feel suffocated by unnecessary guilt because you are only getting to the essentials every day and you're wondering if homeschooling with a tot is even sustainable, be encouraged by brevity. Skip down a little. You just have to shelf all those extras for a season. I've talked about that many times in many videos, homeschooling while pregnant or with a newborn or new baby. And that's what you do. You shelf those extras. But what if you're like me and every year you have those little ones, those little bitty ones. At some point you're thinking, oh my goodness, we have to do something. We can't just do all this, like babysitting our toddlers or whatever. We have to actually get some work done, because every year we have a toddler, every year we have a newborn or a baby or a pregnancy or whatever. And that's how it was for me in my life. At one point in my life, I had 6 kiddos that were 7 and under, and it was a short time, but I did. And it's okay. It's okay. Everything is fine, and we all made it through. And I'm going to tell you guys, my kiddos are stronger and wiser and more creative and leaders because of it. Okay? So don't let it get you down. She says, you cannot do more today than today allows. You cannot do more than God has for you. Skip down a little. She says, what if we all stopped looking at toddlers, here we go, as sand in the gears, as little interruptions to our daily lessons, but rather, what if we realized that sometimes the toddler, the baby, the pregnancy, the newborn is the lesson? Okay, I absolutely love that. I've mentioned it many times. What if your older children, here we go, could see you handle the tears and frustration of a toddler with love and empathy? What if they could see you clean up another mess with grace and forgiveness? How would that change the landscape of your days? What if how you handle the inconvenience and the interruption of a toddler is the lesson? Okay, so much character is grown when our children are around younger children all the time. It doesn't need to be like the world tells us, that they all need to be separated by their age and their development. My bigger girls, they are 12 and 14, and so many times people tell us, I love the way all your kids get along. And I'll tell you, as their mom, they don't always get along. Most times they do, but not all the time. And but people will say, I just love the way your big girls just jump right in and help when we go to a play date. There's little kids, maybe there's nobody their age, and they'll just jump in and play with them. The little ones, they help in nursery. And why? Because this is something that has been normal in their day-to-day lives for their entire lives, and it's not something that's going to change. Someday they'll have children of their own, they'll have grandchildren, they'll have nieces, they'll have nephews. There's always a time when little kids are around, and we as a society see them as an inconvenience, and I don't like it at all. And I know lots of people who don't like it either, and our society sees children as an inconvenience, as in the way, as something that is waste of time. That's why you see so many people not having that many children these days. And when we see them as a blessing, as part of our day, as somebody to help and to nurture, as a way to set an example, then we start to have way different view of our lives and our days. So let's continue. Okay, so next on the top of page 89, sometimes your days will be home, school, and sometimes they'll be home, school. Okay, so what's the difference? Sometimes you're learning how to function in a home as a family. Sometimes you're doing lessons at your home. Okay, yes. In reality, your greatest virtue as a homeschool mother of tots will be your ability to live in the tension between them both. I absolutely love the next sentence. You were called to the job of motherhood long before you began homeschooling. Your older kids have the rest of their lives to learn division facts and participial phrases, but your toddler will only be little for a short time. Don't just occupy your smallest gifts. Enjoy them. Invest in them. Delight in them. Absolutely. So much wisdom and knowledge here. I do like, she has a quote here from Andrew. I don't even know how to say his name, unfortunately. Pudewa? I don't know, but I do know he's the Institute for Excellence in Writing director, founder. I did know that. And in the middle of this quote is actually another quote from Mark Twain. And I like the quote from Mark Twain, is my favorite out of this whole quote. And it says, I have never let my schooling interfere with my education. So true. It is relevant to public versus homeschool. It is also relevant to our lives, just your life. What's going on in your life that you can't attend to because you're so focused on homeschool? Absolutely. So that is wonderful. Let's see. She's talking here now about sometimes she just needed somebody else. Like everybody is telling you, when you have lots of littles, they'll say things to you like, oh, this will go fast. You'll want to remember this. Slow down and enjoy it and all these things. And she says, when I was going through that time in my life, I didn't need somebody to just tell me that. Like, it's going to be better. Don't worry. Everything's good. I needed someone to show me the sacred in the mundane. Remind me that there were miracles to be found in all the monotony of caring for small people. She says, God sees you. I do see this. I love this. That is what I'm constantly doing on my own channel, is encouraging you guys. And if you go to the middle of the next page, on page 90, there is so much good, rich wisdom and encouragement here, talking about God, and God sees us. She said, I desperately wanted to be the good homeschool mom for her sake, like her oldest child, to provide her with those memorable firsts that all the other homeschool moms talked about. Absolutely. And we see it so much more because of social media. We see it so much more. She says, I wanted to plan the unit studies and make the lap books and do the field trips and the art projects, and I wanted to do all the worthwhile things that would make learning worthwhile, but I couldn't because I was outnumbered, surrounded by little people and big messes. I relate to this so much because I have been there. And as somebody who's been there and in a way is still there, and at the same time someone who's on the other side of that and has big kids and can see the fruit emerging from their wonderful, wonderful minds and their personalities and their behaviors. And people tell us all the time, your kids aren't like other kids we know. They're not rude. Your children get along. Like they're in, some of my kids are in the same classes at church or in youth classes together, and they'll say, we're the only siblings that sit together. Every other sibling set is making fun of each other, teasing each other. They sit on opposite sides of the room, like they don't even like each other. And that is weird to our family because we have always been so close. Why? Because we've always had to work together, because there's always been somebody who needed something from somebody. And so anyway, that is where she's going with this. It's so good. And she's going to wrap back around to that exact example in just a minute at the end of this chapter. But before she does that, she gives us so many ideas. And some of these we've done, some of them we haven't. And I'm going to tell you guys which ones, because the ones that have been successful in our home, I want to let you know. Now, she does say, don't try to do everything. Okay, don't overwhelm yourself. You're going to make yourself crazy. You will. But to just have a list of things available that you can pull out to keep your kiddos busy that are really little, and then you can kind of focus on the big ones for a few minutes. So she says, the first thing she says is create a tot school. Yes, we have done this many times. She talks about getting them the same kinds of things, like their new little school supplies, even though obviously they don't really need them, but it's still special. And it also makes it like, this is the stuff for school time. When mommy's doing school with the big kids, this is your special stuff for this time. And your kiddos understand that, and they love that, and they honor that. In the long run, filling a school box with simple items like some new puzzles, lace and trace cards, preschool board games, picture books is a small price to pay for helping to make your tot feel welcome. Yes, absolutely. We have done this every year. And in fact, my big kids this past school year, we were at Goodwill near our house, and they had this little like toddler size little train set that they could put together, and then the trains would go around and around, and it was electronic. It was something from like the 70s or something, but it was brand new in the box, but it was really one of those old classic things. And so I bought it, and my bigger kids were like, why are you buying this? And I said, this is Emma. That's my 3-year-old. I said, this is Emma's school supplies, and this is her school lessons. And they were like, what? And then when it came time for school time, and this train got broken in the end, so we don't have it anymore. But when it came time for school time in those first few months of school this year, we would pull it out. And that was the time we'd pull it out, and she would play and enjoy it so much, but then it would go away when school time was over. And so she wouldn't get burned out on it, and she would look forward to it for the next school time. And so it was really cool. I do recommend finding something, maybe not something as elaborate as that. I wouldn't have gotten that except that it was really cheap at the thrift store. But finding something that is special that only comes out during that time. Also, she says planning a constructive day, having a plan, pencil in some things that you can do with your littlest one. And so just basically having a plan for your kiddos and spending one-on-one time with them, throughout the day, planning that in so that you not only don't forget it, but you don't just push it aside, right? You're so burned out and all your energy went to teaching the bigger kids that you don't have time for the little ones. You don't want that. So another thing I did one year was we invested in a year of playing skillfully, and we did one activity every few days or a week. I can't remember exactly how I set it up, but we had an activity available, and it was usually some sort of sensory-ish activity, like rice in a bucket with some animals or something. And that was their little activity, and the big kids enjoyed it as much as my little ones. It was meant for my twins to keep them entertained when we were first starting school, and they were little, like 2 or 3, but there were 2 of them, and I had a preschooler at the same time, and so I had 3 kiddos that were not in school. And to be able to teach my bigger kids, I had gotten that program to teach them and had set it up where they had just a little activity and that they would set up and do, and then we would put it away. And it was only available during school time when I needed them to be busy while I worked with the others. Another thing she recommends right here is giving your toddlers the first few minutes of your day or of your school day. Definitely agree with that. Don't always do it, but definitely agree with it. And getting your bigger kids into a habit of, she says, self-launch into an activity that they can get started on for about 15 minutes while you spend one-on-one time with your tot or your younger kiddos. And I do something similar. I think it's perfect. The next thing after that, homeschool means everyone in the home plays a special part in the grand plan. If you have older kids, then you have extra pairs of hands that are probably more than willing to take their turn doing puzzles, reading books, stacking blocks, or just cuddling on the couch with the smallest people. So this whole next section, I highly recommend. It doesn't work as well if you have all little ones, but if you have bigger ones like I do, and then this works very, very well. This is what we do now, and it works perfectly. But basically, I have kind of a rotation, and I have a kiddo that is always assigned to our 3-year-old, and their job is to play whatever she wants to play, and it's on her grounds, and so she gets to pick the game, and each kid she does something different with, and so one kid she might paint with, and one kid she's building with magnet blocks, and another kid they're building a fort or whatever, and they rotate. It also gives your bigger kids that little break for a few minutes so that you can focus one-on-one with one kid, but your other kids get a little bit of a break so that they can do, just refresh their brain so that they can get back in time in focus. Now, I will tell you, these kinds of routines, these kinds of habits are not going to happen overnight. It is going to take time, and it's going to take training, and then retraining the next school year. And eventually, though, like I said, I'm on the other side of that. I'm on the side where now my big kids are big enough to entertain the little one very, very well. I have multiple big kids that can help with the little one, and we only have one little one right now. And so I'm on the other side of this. And that is why I'm so confident in giving you guys this advice, because I've been there, and I can tell you guys there is fruit at the other side, and it is beautiful. One thing I do want to point out, she reminds us, don't forget to include yourself in this cycle. This will save your sanity, form lasting sibling relationships, cultivate a sense of responsibility in your older kids, provide even kids as young as 5 or 6 a chance to serve others in their own home. Absolutely. Absolutely. They are learning, your big kids are learning so much by helping in their own home. The next one is kind of an added bonus. You won't have to teach them, the younger ones, the basic rituals and routines of the day because they'll have gradually been taught by the example of brothers and sisters. And then I just think that's 100%. People get so overwhelmed when they have 1 or 2 kids because they think, oh my gosh, there's so much we're doing and I can't imagine doing it with more. But what they forget is that each of the next kid kind of falls in line and steps along and follows the routine, right? And so it's not as hard on the next ones. But again, be willing and ready to tweak your schedule often. Absolutely. It's going to need it. It's going to happen. Okay. Handwork for toddlers. This is the part where she gives us so many ideas, pages, like 5 pages of ideas that we can do with these little ones. She has it broken up by age. So I will just give you 1 or 2 of the ideas from this list here so that you can have a couple ideas, but ultimately grab your own copy. Okay. Handwork for toddlers. School activities that you think will occupy your tot in a pinch. Make a master list. This is super good. Make a master list of every tot game and age-appropriate activity you have around the house so that during a frenzied, busy school day, you won't have to expend the unnecessary brain power trying to think of something. Yes, we did this years ago. I saw something on Pinterest. It was so cute. And we did this, and I had a master list. And then it had numbers. And so I think I had like 50 or something. And then I took popsicle sticks and I stuck them in a mason jar. And each popsicle stick had a number 1 through 50. And they would go pick the popsicle stick. And then I could tell them what the activity was from the list. And they could say if they wanted to do it or if they didn't and put it back and find another one. I didn't have to come up with activities. They were able to quickly and easily figure out what it was and go find it and work on it. Didn't always work, but definitely something that I was glad that we tried, and it did work a lot of times. She says, do remember tot school is not really school. Don't go buy all the workbooks. They need play. She does mention here busy bags on Pinterest. These were super popular. I don't even know if they are still popular, but they were super popular for a while, and they were little like baggies that you would set up beforehand, like maybe in the summer, and they had little activities, and then they were all in a box or a basket or something, and they could go get a bag and work on whatever the activity was that was in the bag and then put it back and get a new one. She says, don't waste your time, your money, your emotions on these because your kids are going to want to play with the boxes that you packed them in instead of the bags themselves. Yes and no. We have had some that were huge successes. When we went on vacations, they were an easy thing to grab and throw in our bag for activities for the car ride that were already prepped and ready. I do see where she says they can get bored, but I mean, that's everything. So yes and no. I don't know. I think that they're still a huge win, so I would still try for them, but getting like super complicated ones or ones that require you to spend hours and hours making all these crazy contraptions and things, probably not those, okay? But the real simple ones, or even just some that have maybe an activity that you just bought but thrown in it, you know, like some of the lacing cards or little puzzles from the dollar store and it's all in a baggie, I would still call that a busy bag, right? So let's see. She said, my secret sauce during those taught years was handwork, using twiddly bits I had around the house and just letting them play with those little things. And so, yes, I have several, like in the back burner, I guess is what I call it, little random activities that we would pull out. One was I had some ice cube trays, and I would put water in all of the little ice cube trays. I'd stick this whole tray onto another tray always, and like an actual tray, and then the ice cube tray was on top. And then I would put food coloring, maybe red, yellow, green, or blue, into just a couple of them. And then I had these little like medicine dropper type things, these little squishy things, pipettes is what they're called officially, and they could color mix, and they would play with this forever and ever and ever. And when they got bored with it, then I would hand them something like a piece of wood or a rock, or maybe some baking soda on their tray or something, and then they could put the colors, onto that, or on a paper or whatever. That is an example of some things that you just kind of have in your back of your mind. Maybe pipe cleaners into a the colander with the holes. And that's something that you probably have, and it's just an easy thing to pull out really, really fast and say, here, play with this. And simple. So she gives us all kinds of activities and ideas like that. She has it here by age. 1 to 2 year olds, chalk pictures on newsprint or construction paper, some boxes with fabric, or we had also just a box of anything that is all the same. Kids love. We had a box of lids that my kids loved it so much. And I kept it in one of those animal cracker containers that's shaped like a bear. And after we ate it all, and I had like lids, like sour cream lid, or just random lids, the jelly jar lid, whatever. And I would put them all in the bucket, and I would hand them the bucket, and it lived like that. And then the kids would get it out, and they thought it was the best thing to just take all the lids out and examine them and put them all back in. At this age, the 1 and 2 year old age, they love that kind of stuff. She calls it a cloud picture, but gluing cotton balls, you put the glue on the paper and they just stick all the balls on. Absolutely. 2 to 3 year olds, paint with water, paintbrush, water, and the porch. We did this many times, even on a chalkboard. Paintbrush with water on a chalkboard all the time. The kids love that. Let's see. Building things out of a large box, like a rocket ship or a house, a fort. My bigger kids like to help with those kinds of things, with blankets. If you have a kitchen table and you can throw a blanket over the top, if you don't homeschool at your kitchen table, then it's an instant fort, and they will play in it all day long. So it's super good. Giving them a bucket with some soapy water or regular water, and they can pretend to do an animal wash or a car wash. Just a Play-Doh. I mean, simple things that don't take a lot. Do put it on a tray. I will tell you that. I have lots of ideas in the other videos. That's why I told you guys, check out those videos. Handwork for 3 to 4 year olds, just stickers. It doesn't even matter what they are. Stickers on paper. Pouring water or dried beans or dried rice into various different containers using measuring scoops or the measuring spoons, funnels, those kinds of things, just having all of that in a little spot. This one's going to take some time beforehand, some planning, but get an ice cube tray. This also works great in warmer, like summertime. And we would do this. You get an ice cube tray and you freeze their little toys inside the ice cube tray. Or, I probably wouldn't do a giant bowl with all of them in one because they get bored with that. But if you have a little one, then you would do that. And then when you're outside and you're doing your reading, your history reading or whatever, the little ones are outside too, and they're playing on this, okay? And they're entertained. Matching paint chip samples with clothespins. You put a little bit. She tells you how to do that. A sandbox, dig for buried treasure. Just dig some things or hide some things or have them hide it, and then they have to find it. Let's see. Playing grocery store, playing all these different things. The dollar store sometimes has those bingo daubers, and they can do dot pictures. There's also free printables that you can print that go along with those, and so you can just have a stack of those ready to go. Stamps, like rubber stamps. Yep. 4 to 5 year olds. So many things. Playing bank, mixing colors, like I told you. rubber bands around a glass jar, putting them on, taking them off, hammering golf tees into cardboard or styrofoam, one of those big blocks of styrofoam, absolutely. Just a box of random trinkets, magnifying glass, popsicle sticks, flashlights, just whatever. My kids used to play with this kind of stuff, and they would pretend they were spies, and they would play for hours with this kind of stuff. So that kind of wraps it up. There's so many more activities I didn't even mention, guys, but so many days felt like one hot mess of chaos after another. I didn't have enough arms, eyes, time, enough energy. Absolutely, 100%. But I made it, and you will too. Yes. Fondness will find its way into your memories of these toddler years. You know what? I'm going to go one step further and say take pictures. So many pictures, because you're going to want to remember all of these crazy times. While looking through old photographs of those early homeschool days, I was reminded of the beauty that can often only be seen through a rearview mirror. When I sifted through all those pictures, I didn't see the Sharpie marker that suddenly found its way to my bedspread and curtains and carpet during art time. I didn't see the store display shelf knocked over. I just saw the smiling faces of kids learning and growing and loving each other. Yes, absolutely. And my daughter that I was so worried that I was failing because I couldn't seem to provide even one normal school day for her. She's in high school now. Mine will be there next year. And I'm not overselling in the slightest when I say she's kind, she's compassionate, smart, and determined. She learned patience all those years ago when her schoolwork couldn't be done always at this very moment. She learned gentleness when she had to help rock a crying little one. She learned forgiveness when she had to start a project all over again because it got destroyed by a younger sibling. She learned independence when she had to find the answer without my help. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There is that beauty at the end, and my bigger girls are there. I see so much of that in them, and it's because of these crazy days that we have had over the years. She says she looks back, and you will too, and see smiling faces. You'll be able to enjoy the toddler years through the beauty and wonder of hindsight. In the meantime, remember this: God sees you, and I see you. Isn't it just so great, guys? I told you we're going to love this chapter, chapter 7. So good. So thanks for joining me, guys. Like I said, there are videos linked below where I have additional ideas and activities, and I walk you through all of that, and I have encouragement if you are pregnant and you were like, I have it all there. So just run over there and check them out. Next week will be one crazy day away from crisis, and I believe yep, that will be the last chapter in part 2. After that, we'll move to part 3 of this book, which is the last section of this book, and then all the chapters that are involved in that part. So stay with us, guys. Thanks for joining me on Homeschool Bravely, and I'll catch you next time.